Okay, let's have a look in the freezer bag. Before I start, let me just tell you, one of my favourite baits is a pollen. And I pop that up, they pop up natural, it's full of air in its swim bladder, and it pops up. The problem is I got 2 left, and I've used them, so I can't show them. But pollen, absolutely fabulous bait. I was told by Nigel Williams and Paul Garner about them about 2 years ago, and I started using them, and there isn't a day go by that on one of my rods I've got a pollen. Okay, next out the bag is a great favourite of mine as well, Smelt. I tell you what I like about Smelt. If you're fishing a water where you can only use sea baits and you can't use coarse baits, this is a sea bait, but this is a good substitute. I've found on the likes of Chew, when they're not having the rich oily sea baits, you can catch on Smelt. I've caught a few decent fish up to just over 32 pounds on days when people have all got the sea baits out, and I've always got one of these out to Smelt, because it doesn't smell like a sea bait. It smells like cucumber. It's the nearest thing you're going to get to a sea bait that smells like a coarse bait. So it's always worth giving a try. And they're also good for putting on a sinking draw. They're nice and narrow, and they sort of react in the water nicely on the 3-hooked rig on a sinking draw. They are a nice bait. These again, nice for popping up as well. And look at the shape of them, just slips in nice and easy. That's a favourite of mine, the old Smelt. What have you got in here now? Yeah, these are, crikey, my biggest pike from Tongmere in Shropshire was on one of these, a sardines. I had a 30 and a 22 in 20 minutes fishing with Nigel Williams one morning. I cast out at the 30, slung another sardine out, and just proves the story that, you know, a big bait catches big fish. Well, these little sardines, they're very, very oily, and pike do like them. You know, sprats, I don't use so much now. I don't know why, because I used to use sprats quite a lot when I was younger, you know, under a bung, the same as a lot of people. But these are better. These are a fabulous bait, sardines, popped up again or on the bottom or drifted. You know, they look like the nearest you're going to get on these baits is a roach on a nice vein float, sent across a reservoir, 4 foot in 6 foot of water. Pike comes up, smells that, bang. Good bait, sardine. What else have we got in here? Oh, the old trout. Of course, if you can't use coarse baits, then you won't be able to use this, but a very hardy bait. I like this bait for when you're fishing waters where there's a lot of carp, because what carp will do with sardines and herrings and a lot of those sea baits, they like the smell of it. And they'll start biting the soft bellies, and they'll start running off with the baits, which they can't do that with this. And also good for sinking draw, because it's a tough body, and so it doesn't pull out. You know, the hooks don't damage it. So that's a good bait, a good popped up bait again. A bait that I rate quite highly, actually. What else have we got here? This is Bluey. I've got to be honest, I've not used Bluey a lot, and when I have used them, I haven't had that much success, but I've tended to use them when I haven't been having a very good day anyway. But I've got the likes of Nigel Williams, and he's had lots of fish on Bluey. So just because I haven't doesn't mean anything. But I'm being honest, I haven't used them a lot. There's a lot of baits to use, and this is what I haven't got round to. I would imagine it's going to be one of those baits that once you've used sardines and herrings and smelt and things like that, it's a good change bait. Again, I haven't used, I can't say a lot about it, but I know a lot of people catch a lot of good pike on this. Caught a lot of big fish on the reservoirs as well, the big reservoirs for big pike. What else have we got here? Some more Smelt. Oh, God blimey, well, here's the old trusted. I only like these proper mackerels. I don't like the other, I think they're scad mackerel, horse mackerel. I like these, the proper little joeys, lovely little bait. You can cast them a long way, and pike absolutely love them. I like this size as well. Although I have to say, I do like the monsters as well, and I'll have some bigger ones in here. These ones, they're great baits. These are, you know, they last a long time. Lots of smell in them. The only problem is if you're fishing a water like we're fishing today with lots of carp in, as soon as you cut them in half, you're going to have problems because the smell, they start digging into the insides. And eels, they put the heads into there and off they run away with it. So keep them whole if you can. You'll have less attraction to the other fish and the pike will come on it. I tell you what I tend to do, on a big one like this I will stab them as well. Stab them along there and get the flavour out. But fabulous bait. It's caught a lot of pike. It's the one that will blow the quickest because it's probably the most used bait of all. So if I was going to a fishery that's been fished a lot by pike anglers, it's probably the last bait I would use. I'd want to be looking for something different. Oh, the old faithful. Fred J. Taylor said many years ago, and Fred had them to 30 pound years ago, when a 30 pounder was a very, very rare fish. It's a rare fish now, but it was very, very rare in those days. And he said if you left a herring on the bottom, it wasn't if you're going to catch one, it's only when you're going to catch one. And I don't know if that's exactly true, but what I would say is herring. Nige Williams, again, I keep quoting because I've fished with Nige more than I've fished with anybody pike fishing. Nige Williams said if you want to catch a big pike, put a great big herring on the bottom and eventually she'll come. And, you know, he's caught a lot of big pike on herring, and that's not a big one. Those are not big herrings. Those are only as big as some of the sardines. You can get some of the herrings this big. These are the most normal size, nice for casting. And the nice thing about these size baits is when you get a take, you can wind down and hit. The problem with big baits, you'll cause yourself problems. As soon as you get monster baits, monster mackerel, monster herring, you know, you can wait and wait and wait. You're chancing a deep hook fish. But the other thing is that with these, you can wind down straight away. And if it's a decent pike, anything over into double figures, he's got those 2 hooks in and you're going to hook him up. What have we got last? We've got the mackerel again. I think that's about it, I think. Yeah, more smelt. That's the lot I've got for today. And we're having a few fish. But I always keep plenty because I tell you something now. Although we've only had a couple of fish today, at the end of the day you could have a spell of an hour where you can have 5 or 6 fish and a couple of runs, drop runs, and you change baits as well. Very often I'll always bring the pack filled of bait with me so that I've got plenty of bait. Nothing worse than at 2 o'clock you're using baits that you think, oh God, they've been having herrings or they've been having sardines, and all you got left is a smelt or, you know, a bluey or whatever. You know, make sure you've got a few of each bait to last the day.